Oh, 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 oh. Oh, that was so cool. I was going for that one right there, and then this one came out of nowhere. That was cool. Very cool. Hey there, Salt Strong family, this is Pat Ogletree, and in this video I want to talk to you about some jig heads, specifically some open face style jig heads. Now recently I did a video about the different styles and how they affect the lure, and now I'm going to talk about when to use which style so you don't get hung up as often. Now the first style I want to talk to you about is the shad head jig head. This one right here is a saltwater assassin, and it comes in different sizes in the 16th, 8th, 3/8, and we got a bunch of different ones. And also the trout eye jig head. As you can tell, both of these have that real thin profile. Now when you want to use these is around shallow grass beds. So you're fishing around grass beds that are 2.5, 3, maybe down to 5 feet deep. You'll use different weights of jig heads that are this profile, this thin profile, so it doesn't get hung up on the weeds as often. Now if you're using a wider profile, like one of the boxing head jig heads, that's say this one right here, this one is a mission fishing boxing head jig head. If you notice, it's a lot wider. That one will have a tendency to catch a lot more weeds as you're reeling that in through the water column. So that's why you want to stick with something thinner like this one right here, the trout eye jig head. So let's go back to that mission fishing jig head we were talking about earlier. This is a boxing glove style. This is their double barb jig head. It comes in a lot of different sizes. We have them in 8, 3/8, quarter ounce, for a lot of different situations that you're covering a lot of depths and a lot of currents. But where you really want to use this jig head is going to be in hard bottom like rock and shell. Now the reason why you want to use this one is because of its wider profile. It's going to have less tendency to get stuck in those little rocks and crevices, the cracks and crevices that are in those rocks, and you can bounce these along the bottom without getting stuck as much as those thinner profiles that are the shad style jig heads. So rock and shell, mission fishing jig head. So the last style of jig head I want to talk about is the mushroom jig head. Now this one happens to be the mag shroom jig head made by Z-Man. I've got that rigged on a Power Prawn USA. This is an excellent jig head to use around docks with sandy bottom, or maybe some small emergent grass that hasn't grown too much. Once the grass gets up, say probably that 6-8 inches, this has a hard time to swim through that, and also it's not a very good swimming jig head just because of that flat face and the way that the line tie is right there. As you can see, it's right there on the top. It has a tendency to collect a lot of weeds while it's coming through the water, and it has a tendency to get stuck in those rocks. But around bridge pylons and around docks with sandy bottom, this right here is hard to beat. You definitely want to have some of these in your tackle box. It is a great presentation in those situations. Another time that it really shines is smaller presentations when you're talking about finesse, and that's what I have right here. This is the same basic style jig head. It is the Z-Man. This is the Pro SHROOMZ, which is a little bit smaller than the Mag SHROOMZ, and this is designed really for those 3.5 inch baits like this Slam Shady that I got it rigged on. Now this is great in a finesse or a situation where you're dealing with a lot of pressured fish, and you can actually use this one in some weeds because of its lighter head. This is a 1/10 ounce, and this will have a tendency to just kind of sit there right on the top of those weeds and not get stuck on the bottom. But another way that this really shines is whenever you're fishing in current, you can actually cast this up current, and because of its light jig head, it will flow with the current and kind of sink real slow, and then you can just reel in that slack, and that is just deadly. When that gets down to a pinch point or right around an eddy, you can really do a good job on those fish with this. It is a fantastic presentation. So if you ever wanted to try any of these jig heads out, whether it be the mission fishing boxing glove jig head or this mushroom jig head, that's the Z-Man mag shroom jig head, or any of our lures like this Power Prawn USA or the Slam series that we have, like the Slam Shady 2.0s, the jerk baits that we have, the Bomber series, I highly recommend going to fishstrong.com and checking them out. And our insiders get an extra 20% off a retail price. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we are the best online fishing club in America, where we guarantee that you will catch more fish in less time, save money on all the tackle that you need, and make friends fast, or it's free. For more information, go to saltstrong.com. Until then, we hope to see you in the Insider Club soon. Thanks for watching.